Hello
Mhm.
again, and welcome to another edition of the Two Cloud Crowd. This time I have my special invitee, Vincent Frerebeau, VP of Cloud at Dassault Systems. How you doing, Vincent?
I'm fine. Thank you for calling. Hello.
Vincent, you and I actually both work together at DS, and certainly even since I've left 3 years ago, there's been a lot of evolution, a lot of movement with 3D experience on the cloud. So just to summarize, what are some of the chief advantages that clients should see, or DS clients, or even, clients looking at DS would see with respect to the cloud? And in terms of both customers that are already on 3D experience on-prem that are moving to cloud, or customers that are maybe using some of the other competitors, and why they would be looking at 3D experience on the cloud.
Sure. Yeah, indeed, we did some progress, but we still have the same values, which are the most frequently identified by customer. Which is that they can focus much more on developing their product rather than working on IT topics with us. So we are really moving from a discussion with IT guys to a discussion with people from the engineering side, manufacturing side, simulation side, using the product, and the values that they see of doing this move or of doing this investment in our solution is that they know we will do our best as partner to get their data always accessible from anywhere. The service is always up and running according to our engagement. What we put in place recently is as well a way to communicate directly with us. We call that the if we loop. Maybe you have heard about that. It's through communities with each and every user. Now we have a direct connection, so they can raise questions and we answer
Like a
directly
chat bot
online.
in the platform? Is it like a chat
Yeah,
bot in the platform?
yeah, but we based it directly indeed on the community capacity of the
Of Swim?
platform
Oh,
in
okay.
Swim. So we are leveraging that for each and every user, even before, by the way, they become users. They can look for new solutions. They can ask what we have to solve their issues, their needs, and we propose roles, we propose applications. We do that all on Swim.
So
So
is it similar to some of the changes we saw in Team Center X, where you're using some AI in the back to kind of guide users towards the right information?
yeah, exactly. We collect all those questions and then we guide them through the most appropriate answer. But then there are real people as well and direct connection with experts very quickly. If they are out of the FAQ, it's people answering within a couple of hours usually to get the proper answer. So this is the kind of value that they have, and then the capacity to collaborate across several companies, subsidiaries, everybody being at any time on the same level makes things easier. So we start to see, without even us being in the center, we see customer connecting their environment, inviting each other on the platform, which was something that we wanted to have, but we discovered lately that it was happening. So when you have
Hmm.
a startup who is designing a product and suddenly they invite a big engineering services company directly on their environment to work and to co-design and co-engineer their product. It's really nice. It's done in few minutes. So
That, that's interesting, because I was wondering. Well, my next question was around digital thread, and how companies on that want to use Dassault and then want to use the cloud, how they can connect a digital thread. And I was thinking, you were mentioning simulation and manufacturing. Are you seeing, in terms of implementing the digital thread, are you seeing people just like a set of customers that are only focused on engineering, and another set of customers that focus on design, another set that are more simulation or manufacturing, or you're starting to see customers that are actually connecting that entire thread with 3D experience on the platform. They're going cradle to grave inside the cloud, inside 3D experience.
Well, we see both, but what we prefer to see is a customer who does not have the skills to cover all those domains, and they don't want to buy the licenses or subscribe to it because they know they won't have any internal user on it. So they prefer to rely on experts who have those licenses and skills. And so they, just by inviting them and on the platform directly ask the end user that they invite to come with his own license and work on their product with their license, this is really powerful. This is really
So that's part
the
of
way
the,
we ensure this digital thread.
so through cloud with spaces as well as through the two or three marketplaces on the platform?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, exactly.
Also, I recall at least when I was there, there were some limitations in terms of what you could do in data modeling, how much you could modify. I don't know whether unified typing, which is a way that you can create new objects, whether that's made it or not. But I'm just wondering how adaptable. I know that, all the PLM vendors are talking about configuration instead of customization, and that may or may not be realistic,
Correct.
right? And actually, some of the platforms claim that you can do full on customization even in multi-tenant mode, like Propel, because it's based on Force.com. So where are we now in 2020, going on 2021? And I know what your release is 2021X. Where are we now in terms of how flexible is a 3D experience to modify it to fit my business process, the way I work, or do I need, you see my question. Do I need
Yeah,
to
yeah.
modify the way I work, or how adaptable is it these days and going forward?
We have done some progress, but still there's a mindset around it, which is to say that we don't want to reach the same level of customization as we had. And you're
On-prem.
correct with this configuration versus customization. Nevertheless, what we have so far is not the target. It's still limited compared to what we want. And indeed, this unified typing, which is on-prem called TXO.
Right.
It's going to be step by step delivered on the cloud, probably differently than that, but by the end of the year, you will have additional capabilities. Today, you can already see some evolution in the very last release, which was done, the FDO2. There are some
FDO2.
improvements already. And FDO3 is going to be even more than that. And subtyping is going to arrive. It's in our roadmap as well. So it's coming.
What about like triggers and JPOs? Well, for the people that may not be familiar with Dassault
Yeah,
systems and 3D experience, triggers are basically a trigger you put on an object. When it changes state, it can do something. And a JPO is a way of attaching to an object or business process a Java program that's actually stored in the database and executed when it's called. So it
yeah,
avoids you to have to do stored procedures. So those are things that we've been doing on-prem forever, right? In terms of
correct.
customization, in order to, particularly in because there's no workflow platform. So we've been using JPOs basically to replace a missing workflow platform. So we're
Mhm.
up to now, my understanding is we couldn't do that. We didn't have a way of
Sure.
accessing the database. So is there what kind
Yeah,
of
there's no
facilities
way
are there
to.
that yeah.
Correct. There's no way to get GPOs on server on cloud, so we cannot use this kind of technology. So it's the strategy that we have is event based. So those triggers are now called event.
Oh,
So
okay.
everything you do on a promotion, and all these events that you have are going to be stored in an event bus. On the platform, we have this service which is now available. So we
Okay.
launched it as a controlled availability in FDO2 because it was the very first release. So now we can start to see those events being described and documented. And after, with web service technology, you can start to retrieve those events in order to launch external activities, transfer of data, and so on.
So there's a publish subscribe kind of.
Exactly, and so we are relying on iPass connector, iPass technology in order indeed to trigger to make sure that all those events we can subscribe to it. We can launch activities as well from external connection.
So
So
that's great because you mentioned iPass. So iPass, my understanding, uh, it's a sort of a hub and spoke web services backend so that you can eventually connect to
mm,
external systems. So can you speak a little bit about customers that need to connect to ERP, whether that's SAP HANA or Microsoft or whatever? So what is the state today of the 3D Experience platform talking to third-party software that's outside of off the platform? So how does that work today?
well, it's exactly based on what I discussed on the
The event
iPass
bus.
and the event bus. So the idea is that we don't want to have point-to-point interfaces between the platform and an ERP. We want to do that through iPass. So as soon as a customer has an iPass in place with a connection to HANA or any other system, and is developing the connector between this iPass and the 3D Experience platform event bus, then automatically he will get the benefit and he can describe his business processes in this iPass technology. So
And you said that's controlled availability now and coming soon.
yeah,
Okay, that's great.
yeah, first release. So we can work. We work with some key partners. We work with some key strategic customers in order to validate both the concept, this technology and the performance and so on. So by the end of the year, this is how we want to work. But the idea is, as you know, on cloud we have one release every other month. So by the end of the year, there is another release, and we will see if it will remain this as a CA or
Okay.
we unleash this power. We will see.
Right, it's more power by.
Mm.
Um, So in a previous one of my first webcasts, well, actually the second one, I talked about the cost of PLM, and I mentioned that one of the biggest differences between cloud-based PLM and on-prem is, of course, going to a OpEx model instead of CapEx. But that also means that at one point the cloud would be more expensive than on-prem, right? Because once you've amortized all the hardware and you've paid for the licenses and you're only paying PLC, that's going to be after 3 or 4 years cheaper than the cloud where you're adding more users, adding more functionality, and still paying the same and because the hardware is integrated into the OpEx cost. So my question is, how are your customers, are they seeing the ROI in terms of the acceleration of innovation, time to market, error reduction, cost reduction, and so forth? Are they seeing that ROI in a 1 to 3 year time scale so that it justifies the higher cost of cloud, again, given a 4 or 5 year horizon?
Um, it's in fact they don't see the ROI if they still think about engaging as they engage on prem. If they really compare the full scope of, I mean, full functional scope that they want to cover, uh, it, they will continue to have the same amount, huge amount at the beginning, and frustration because people are not always trained to it. So it takes time before they get the ROI. Whether what we do in most of our engagement is that we start small. We start with a functional scope where they can leverage the technology we propose, quickly identify the return on investment, the values that we deliver, so that we can leverage that trust and confidence in the fact that they can absorb all the technology that they would like to get. So instead of um, having large scope engaged from the beginning, we identify a first use case and we grow from there the functional scope. And so this ROI discussion um, is minimized. They don't have the frustration the first 2 years that they bought a lot and did not get all the skills. They had to go through training, and we don't have that because they invest what they are capable of doing in the first year. And so we minimize the risk and we minimize the discussion regarding the ROI by doing that.
And
So it's
I guess it helps too because you're also, as they're learning the software, the learning curve is a little flatter, right?
yeah, yeah,
And then they're
exactly.
hopefully building fidelity, like people are saying, "Oh, this is great," and they're telling their colleagues or who are doing that. And I know that some
Yeah,
you've got some partners of yours and friends of mine, like Share PLM, that do a great job in onboarding for cloud skills and so forth, right?
yeah, yeah, correct. And I think it's feasible on the cloud, and it's feasible as well due right now to the small possibilities in terms of configuration, which makes it very easy. You know, you can start with project management, decide 6 months later you add BOM management, and then you can within minutes you have the roles. The data model is already prepared for that. You don't need to have, as you could have on premise, another step of customization, of implementation, making sure you have all the deployment well done. And this is why on premise, when you want to make a PLM project, you need to have all the capabilities identified from the beginning and available, because you tailored your data model accordingly. Whereas on cloud, you have really this flexibility to grow the functional scope very easily.
And speaking of that, so one of the concerns I voiced in my second webcast as well was that um, imagine if customers go too quickly to the cloud, that could become it could be it could become a liability. Like imagine they
Hmm.
put everything on the cloud and they don't have any IT, and then there's a problem. They're purchased by another company, or there's some disaster that happens, or there's an acquisition, and suddenly they have to move back on prem. Um, so there's two parts to the question. The first part of the question I'll let you answer is, so if what are the is it possible if I'm on a, well, or even the fact that I could be trying the cloud and decide, well, no, actually it's not for me, I want to be on prem. So what are the facilities? How easy is it for a customer that's using 3D Experience on the cloud to revert back to on-prem? And then I'll ask you the question the other way in a second.
Yeah. So as long as it's on 3D experience, we are progressing. We have done that now probably a dozen of times to move a customer from cloud to on-prem, which happened due to some of the reason that you mentioned, and it required a service, quite significant
Okay.
service to be able to do that. It's not a
It's not a
one-shot
free
operation.
one
Yeah,
button thing. Okay,
no,
gotcha.
no, it's not. It's not like that. And same for the opposite, and exactly the same. We have some customers moving from
On-prem
on-prem
to the
to
cloud.
cloud, and same here, similar activity. It's you need to have people in place to monitor that.
Well, actually, it wasn't one of the questions I had planned, but that makes me think about that. I just recorded a webinar about the job market. So if you were looking at the people that have some skills in 3D experience, would you say that uh, well, is there an opportunity for people that are looking for work? Is it, where am I trying to go with this? Is it better to look at those opportunities of movement between one platform and another, or I mean, do you see that there's a lot of that kind of adoption issues, or is it more just on-prem implementation is probably 90% of the time, and there's only a bit of this work of moving to cloud, or do you see it's actually a pretty big and growing field for people?
It's a growing field for people because When you learn the 3D experience now in all the programs that we do, we even for customers who have a plan to deploy on premise, we provide cloud because it's available right now. You can it facilitates really the way to learn and to get enablement done for your teams, for your students if it's at school and so on. So people are learning on cloud. So it facilitates after when companies are engaging on cloud, they know that they can easily get people who have these skills. And if
Okay.
they have an on-premise which is highly customized, then they need to do another. Um,
Decustomization before they
yeah,
move to the cloud.
yeah.
And that work, some of the work of moving from, say, an on-prem to cloud, is that done by only by Dassault, or also some of the SIs are getting involved? In other words, in terms of the job market, you don't have to be a DS employee. You could actually be at CAP or Accenture or one of the other SIs and be doing that.
It's we would like indeed the SIs to do that, but to do so they really have to learn the out
Yeah,
of the
there's a big
box
training
behavior.
opportunity
Yeah,
there.
that the current discussion is there right now. It's
Mm,
so far we were telling people that yeah, it's possible to adapt the software to you to your needs, and with the cloud, even if we open it more and more, we will have to do the opposite, which is to say we know perfectly well how the out of the box product work, and we will find a way to bring you to this out of the
right.
box step by step. So
Interesting. Um, how about hybrid? I don't know if you followed some of the announcements from Siemens and PTC as well, but I'd focus on Siemens. And with Teamcenter X, you have a multi-tenant basic and add-on offers. And then if you want other stuff that they don't do, like the basic and the add-ons is only BOM management, NX management, things like that. But if you want something like program management or ITAR or something, those are actually single tenant capabilities. And you basically, they do their own behind the scenes, they do a hybrid between multi-tenant SaaS and a managed service pass. Uh, and you can also federate Teamcenter with on the cloud with Teamcenter X, you can federate, several 1 to n instances of Teamcenter on-prem. I know traditionally that hasn't been the way we've worked with 3D Experience, but are there some scenarios today where hybrids could work, where I could maybe for file storage or something? Are there any hybrid scenarios that you're working on?
um, we start to look at that. In fact, you mentioned it earlier with Medidata, with BioVia, with all these technologies that are cloud-based too. And so we look at the way indeed to make hybrid deployment. It's not it's between different cloud. We don't have right now an hybrid between potential 3D experience on-prem and 3D experience on cloud.
Okay.
I've not seen that, and it's not something I think that we would like. We see right now more hosted solution requests than pure hybrid requests from our customers. So
Well, like so you guys are have some managed services then where it's a single
yeah,
thing. Oh, you mean like DS Private Cloud is basically what you're
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about. Okay, okay.
Mm.
Which is okay, gotcha. Um, so how is have you seen in terms of the cloud, has there been any COVID effect at all? Are you seeing more demand because people are saying, "Oh my God, I have to have the cloud because I've got to have remote people working remotely without in offices," or are you seeing some confusion and people are just like, I'm not going to do anything. I'm waiting for the storm to pass over. I mean, how are people riding it out from your perspective?
We have seen two trends. The first one is small offices where people were calling us during the lockdown saying, "Well, I don't have my data. I cannot access it. It's
It's
in
in the
my
data
office.
room and there's a
It's in
USB
the, yeah,
key.
yeah. How can I do to get them and work from home? So we help them. We told them, okay, well, we can offer a solution for that. And then the second step was, okay, but you know what? My home device is not powerful enough to run your applications when I install them. So do you have as well web applications, maybe for me to do something with light prerequisites so that I could run something and work and so we had those two.
So that was an opportunity for X design, I'm thinking.
So it was an opportunity for people to look at X design, to look at rendering capabilities, simulation on the cloud. You don't need power on your device. You can launch your computation without heavy capabilities on your.
Thanks to those new computing credits, right?
Yeah,
That you guys
exactly. And
introduced.
this is exactly so. It helped a lot to get some continuity in their, if even if it was not on their core projects, it was at least for them a possibility to study and prepare next step in terms of innovation. We have as well X generative design that a lot of them learned during that time frame. So all those new applications, fully web-based, was a good way for them to maintain an activity and prepare what's happening now, in fact, which is what are the next investment that I'm going to make if I want to be better prepared for similar crisis. So
You said there were two scenarios. The one scenario is I can't access my data. What do I do? So what was the other scenario? Because you said you
the,
had two different
the
solutions.
second scenario was I don't have the power at home. I
Oh,
don't
that
have
power.
my,
I'm sorry. Sorry. You're right.
yeah,
Okay,
and
great. Okay. Well, what so yeah, I think the last question I had was just about, the future direction, where you see the cloud and Dassault going. Do you see an effort to try to push as many of the customers in that direction, or to kind of stabilize the installed base on-prem and stabilize the 3D experience on the cloud, and then look for new opportunities, and try to focus those on the cloud? Is that how do you see
hmm.
that growth?
Well, you remember when we created cloud at the origin, it was for reaching out new domains, new
New
industries,
industries?
and the thing is that indeed we have some industries right now. It's a given, the fact that it's a de facto standard. We don't even have to mention it's on cloud, because if it's not on cloud, they would not subscribe anyway.
Probably those are
Um,
the greenfield industries, right? People that
yeah,
don't have an
exactly.
existing PLM. Okay.
Yeah, and then for what we have discovered step by step is that we have a huge install base anyway to migrate to cloud, because they will want to do so, and for the large accounts, this is where we probably have to maintain a very rich on-premise activity, because it will take more time. We will have probably some intermediate steps with, as you said, hybrid, or at least we will have to make sure that the integration framework is fully available and work at scale to get 3D experience fully integrated in their IT system. So right now we are working on all those migration topics for a large base of our install base, a large part of our install base,
What,
which is key.
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh, it just made me wonder because again, I just did a webcast about the job market. Where do you see, in terms of that future, and in terms of those greenfield accounts and new industries, which do you find are the most exciting, where you're seeing the most movement, the most adoption, the most momentum behind it? Which, because I know you guys still cover what, 11 or 12 industries, right? So,
Yeah.
which of those would you say, if I'm coming out of school and I want to get a job in PLM, and I know something about PLM, which industry should I be maybe focus on to learn something on Udemy or Coursera in order to prepare myself? Where are the good, where are the next big wave of jobs, where do you think they're going to be? Automotive and aerospace, where things are shrinking, or somewhere else where they're expanding, is I guess the question.
I would say in cities and
Okay.
buildings and the
Oh,
picture
yeah.
behind you. Yeah,
Wow.
because those they have huge needs. They are reinventing, they are innovating a lot. They have old tools, disconnected tools, and they want to get inspired by what aircrafts and automotive have done in terms of
Oh, interesting.
optimization, in terms of fun design, in terms of computation, and so on. So they want to leverage the skills. And when you look at the new firms, architecture firms, who they hire, you would be surprised by the number of people from Tesla, from Boeing, from many companies on the manufacturing area. And I would say it's probably the most interesting target for us right now.
Okay. So you're seeing, we're still only what 6 months or 8, 9 months in the crisis, but you are seeing that capital projects are going forward, and therefore um, that those investments are continuing in the BIM industry despite COVID. That's interesting.
Yeah, but there is a trend in this market with consolidation, with innovators. A lot of new names
Oh,
are
okay.
there, and I think the cities are very much involved as well in many of those projects. They are looking at the trends, investing in ideas which are going to help them because they faced with huge problems during the lockdown as well. So
Yeah, of course.
they want to rethink a lot of things in public buildings. So
Yeah, well, I'm listing public bars at the moment because of the lockdown, so I can understand. No, it was a great conversation. I really appreciate it, Vincent. Do you have any closing comments for the
no, thank
audience?
you. It was a pleasure to talk to you, of course, as usual, and I hope we can have more in the
Sure.
future.
Well,
Feel free to do so.
okay, great. And if when I post it, well, I'll if I get some questions, obviously I'll know where to point people.
Yeah, sure. I would be happy to answer.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Thanks. Bye.